Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I was stirring cocoa on the stove when my phone rang, an unfamiliar time for Mom to call. The house smelled like cinnamon and cardamom, soft music from the vinyl player crackled in the corner. I wiped my hands on a towel, letting the spoon rest crooked in the pot, and picked up. Judith, her voice said, brisk, rehearsed, oddly sterile. We've decided it's best if you don't come home for Christmas this year. I blinked. What? It's Ryan. He needs calm. We'll be better off without you. There was a pause, a long one. The kind that hangs in the air, stiff and sour. I leaned against the kitchen counter. So let me get this straight. Ryan, your 30-year-old man-child who hasn't worked a proper job in 4 years, needs calm, and that means excluding me. She exhaled, a sigh that sounded more annoyed than regretful. You know how sensitive he gets. The therapist said stress isn't good for him right now. Stress. I almost laughed. Is this about the kitchen renovation I paid for? Or the heating bill I covered last month? Because I thought money was supposed to reduce stress. That's not fair, she snapped, tone tight. You know we appreciate your help, however, you don't have to come for Christmas. No, don't appreciate. I cut in, voice shaking slightly. You appreciate my bank account? Big difference. I hung up before I could hear more. I stood there for a long time, letting the silence in my apartment swell around me. Outside, the wind scraped against the windows like fingernails on glass. I walked back to the stove, turned off the cocoa, and didn't bother drinking it. Instead, I opened the folder in my drawer labeled Family Expenses. A neat stack of receipts stared back. $4,300 for winter utility bills. $7,200 for home renovations. Ryan insisted it'd help Mom's mental health. $980 for Ryan's startup that sold hand-carved wooden spoons online for 2 weeks before going dark. I sank into the couch. My jaw tightened. Suddenly, the couch felt warmer than any embrace I'd gotten from them in years. They didn't want me there. Not the daughter who paid for their warmth. Not the sister who cleaned up behind Ryan's failures. All because I represented something they couldn't control. Independence. That night, I opened the heating provider's website. The account was still under my name. I hovered over the button for a while. Then I clicked, Cancel service. A pop-up asked, Are you sure? I didn't hesitate. Yes. The morning after I canceled the heating, I expected guilt. Maybe a pang. A whisper of regret. Nothing came. Instead, I made myself coffee in silence, watching the snow pile gently outside my apartment window like cotton. My world was still warm, humming, intact. For once, I felt like I was living my life, not one least to keep someone else comfortable. By noon, the text began. Mom? Judith, did something happen with the heating? The house is freezing. Can you check? I didn't answer. By evening, Ryan chimed in. Ryan, power's out. Nice timing. If you're trying to prove a point, it's not funny. I tossed the phone aside. 3 days. That's how long I gave them to acknowledge me before I'd finally pulled the cord. 3 days of silence after that insult of a phone call. 3 days of pacing, tears, and digging through bank statements reminding myself I had done enough. More than enough. On the second day, the tone changed. Dad, your mother is sick. Ryan is trying to keep her warm with the fireplace, but it's not enough. The pipes might freeze. I didn't reply. On the third night, my phone rang, an actual call. My screen flashed, Dad. I answered. Judith. His voice was hoarse, strained. Please. I don't know what's going on, but we're cold. Really cold. Just tell me what we need to do. I took a deep breath. Calm. I owed him nothing, but I wanted him to understand. Buy candles, flashlights, blankets. Get creative. Like I've had to all my life, I said evenly. And best of all, tell Ryan to get a job and pay for the utilities next time. There was a long silence. Then, sharply, that's cruel. No, I replied. Cruel is asking your daughter for thousands of dollars every few months, and then treating her like a visitor in her own family. This is just balance. I hung up. I didn't cry, not anymore. I lit a candle on my coffee table, not because I needed it, but because I liked the glow. It flickered softly against the framed photo of my parents and Ryan from years ago, before I was the one footing the bills. I looked at it for a moment, then I got up, opened the drawer, and laid it face down. By the end of the week, the weather turned brutal. News reports warned of a blizzard sweeping across the state, cold like a knife, winds like wolves. I stood by the window in my apartment, wrapped in my robe, sipping hot cocoa while flakes slammed against the glass in angry waves. I didn't need the news to tell me how bad it was. I could feel it in my bones, sharp, metallic, and vengeful. And still, I didn't call. At noon, Ryan posted on social media, "Power still out. House is an icebox. Walls are sweating. Candles aren't enough. Feels like living in a cave. Thanks for nothing." He didn't tag me. He didn't have to. That night, my phone buzzed again. Mom. Her voice trembled. "Judith. We can't even feel our fingers. Please." Ryan tried to call the service, but the account, "It's in my name," I said flatly. "And I stopped paying it." "You what?" "I didn't cut it, Mom. I just stopped saving you. I stopped being the emergency fund for everyone's bad decisions." A beat of silence. "But it's Christmas." "No," I replied coldly. "It's finally my Christmas." I ended the call. No guilt. Just the growing warmth of my apartment, and for once, my spine. The night before Christmas was quieter than I'd expected. No carolers, no laughter drifting from neighboring windows, just wind howling like a warning. My small apartment was warm, glowing softly from the string lights I'd pinned above the mantel. A cinnamon-scented candle flickered on the table. I hadn't cooked a feast, just roasted chicken and a glass of Merlot. Peace tasted better than any holiday dinner I've forced myself to attend in years. At 8:46 p.m., my phone buzzed. A message from Dad. "Your mother's crying. Ryan is shivering in 2 coats. You've made your point. You can stop now." I stared at the screen. My fingers hovered. Then I typed. "I never started anything. I just stepped back and watched you all fall." 10 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Dad, his coat soaked, his face red from the cold, eyes burning with disappointment. "You've become cruel," he spat. "No," I said calmly, stepping aside. "I've become unavailable." He looked past me at the quiet apartment filled with warmth and silence. No begging, no blame. "Enjoy your Christmas," I said, and closed the door before he could say more. The morning sun slipped through the sheer curtains, pouring gold onto the hardwood floor. I opened my eyes to silence. No buzzing phone, no heavy heart, no guilt whispering in the corners of my mind. Just coffee brewing and the soft crackle of the radiator. It was the first day of my life where I owed nothing to anyone. The first day of being Judith, not the family wallet, the emotional punching bag, or the discarded daughter. I sat by the window, cradling my mug, watching the city breathe. A fresh layer of snow blanketed the street. Somewhere out there, my family was probably still shivering, lighting candles and blaming one another. I didn't feel pity anymore. I felt unshackled. Then the doorbell rang. I hesitated. Through the peephole, I saw Ryan, disheveled, lips blue from cold, carrying a worn duffel bag. My chest tightened, but not with concern, with clarity. "Judith," he muttered as I cracked the door. I need a place just for a few days. Dad kicked me out, said I was the problem." I looked at him, my brother, the golden child, the source of 1,000 excuses, and yet, now stripped of comfort, he stood exposed for the first time. "You always had a place, Ryan," I said softly. "But not here. Not anymore." His eyes widened, stunned. "You're just gonna leave me out here?" "No," I replied. "I'm going to let you figure out how to stand without leaning on someone else." I shut the door, locked it. And as I turned back to my apartment, to the symphony of stillness and the scent of my own home, I whispered to myself, "Day 1, finally."
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.